Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have an absolutely awesome review for you, and this is actually of two different figures, which you can actually see both already here in, of course you saw it in the thumbnail, but you can see them here before you as far as the boxes go. We have the Hatchling Deinosuchus figures from Rebor, and you can see that there are two different paint variants, and honestly I was not sure which one I would consider the superior paint variant because they both look so cool. I of course feel like the one on the left is the more naturalistic looking version, but the one on the right is just so unbelievably flashy, but in a really realistic way. It was impossible to decide which one was the better, so we have both here to take a look at. And one thing that's very important to note if you are interested in picking this up, down here it states that they are a 500 worldwide limited edition. So in the grand scheme of things, that is not very many as far as how many are going to be in circulation throughout the entire world. Only 500. That means you better get a hold of it as soon as possible if you are interested in picking it up. Make sure you head over to everythingdinosaur.com and place an order for these so you don't miss out. But as far as the box art goes, again, really nice image there of both of the baby Deinosuchus there on the front. Same deal for the side. We have another image of the two different paint variants, but this time from the side. And then if we turn it around, again, same deal as far as like the image, basically the same image, but now from up above. And then on the back actually shows us all of the, I'm almost turning that the wrong way, all of the different hatchlings that have been released in the line over the years, all of which I have been lucky enough to acquire and own, and I now have the two newest, which are the Deinosuchus. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and break these out of their box and take a look at them. So here is base number 1, base number 2. So one interesting thing to take note about these immediately is the fact that the bases are actually not different, or at least nothing that I can really see. Sometimes when it comes to like alternate paint variants, you'll get, especially with Rebor, you'll get like one certain style base and then a different style base for the other paint variant, or at least a different color. But these both look to be the exact same color, so that's definitely something that might be important to some. And you also get a little piece of the egg here so that you can just lay it down here as far as like a really cool little display piece for the models. And then we have our beautiful looking Deinosuchus, if I can figure out exactly how there we go. So he's in right there. And then of course I'll lift you guys up in just a moment to look at them, but we also have the other paint variant here of the Deinosuchus. And we now have them both here front and center, and they look unbelievably awesome. Really, really nice. Very lifelike, very pretty much alive sitting here before me. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at both of these right now. So we will go ahead and look at the more standard version, I would think, as far as these go. And actually, something that's pretty cool about these is I don't believe they were initially going to release two paint variants. I think that was a decision based off of the fact that they had a lot of really positive feedback for both. I think they were kind of trying to decide which paint variants they were going to go with. I'm pretty sure this is the one they were leaning toward because it's the more natural and more, lifelike look, but they ended up picking both just because, people really wanted to see both. But you can see as far as this one goes, sculpt-wise, again, that is really, really realistic and beautifully done. There is a lot of really nice scale detail throughout the course of the figure, and they have applied a really nice dark wash so that all of that scale detail pops in a super lifelike and realistic way. You can see that throughout the course of the entire head sculpt here of this Deinosuchus. It looks really nice as far as the scale detail, but that wash makes you see just how nice it truly is. You do have the nostrils up here at the tip of the snout. Those as well have been defined thanks to that dark wash, and there's some really nice coloration throughout the course of this. Very nice realistic tones of color, as we have a lot of really nice like light browns and stuff like down here in the lower jaw, some leading up here into the upper jaw, and then you have a lot of like nice grays and stuff up here, almost a slight greenish tint to some of the areas, but again, very realistic looking coloration. You also have some of those darker tones that kind of stripe and spot down here into the lower jaw, and there's also a really cool area of like a bluish color that leads back from the eye, which I really like. I also like the fact that they kind of outlined the eye with the lighter coloration because the dark green eye pops so nicely thanks to that kind of light coloration that outlines it. And on top of the light outline, there's actually a dark black outline within the inside of the eye as well. And you can even see a little hint of white back there as well. Very nice slit-like pupil, a nice gloss coat over top of the eye so it shines like a real eye would. But in general, the entire figure kind of has a really nice glossy look to it, which is exactly the way it would look if it were a living animal hatching from an egg. It's going to come out with that kind of wet look, so that was also a really nice touch on the part of Rebor. But again, the detailing honestly looks incredible. There's so many different varying sizes of scales and really nice texturing to the course of the figure. You can see we have those really large scoots there running along the back of our Deinosuchus, and on top of that you have those really nice, more fine, smaller scales that kind of creep in between the larger scoots and stuff, and the really nice grayish coloration again looks so natural on the figure, but that dark wash really ties it all together quite beautifully. You have some really nice skin wrinkles and skin folds and stuff here in the throat. Of course, the Deinosuchus has its mouth open, which is causing this kind of skin wrinkling effect down here. So that was some really nice attention to detail on the part of Rebor. You can see on the underside of the lower jaw as well, that is some beautiful looking scale detail. Look at all the different varying sizes of scales on the underside of the throat right there. And just in general, the super lifelike and realistic appearance to the scale detail there, running down the course of the throat, leading into the chest, which we cannot see because it's kind of obscured from the egg, but you can see that in general, the underside of the neck and throat area looks so lifelike. It just looks like it would have that soft feel to it. It looks so cool. And also, you can pick up on how nice and smooth the transition is when we come from this lighter coloration, that lighter brown, to that darker gray as we lead up into the back. That's a really nice transition up into that area. You can also see that the front leg of our Deinosuchus is kind of relaxed out here on the egg, or maybe not so relaxed, maybe it's trying to pull itself out, but it looks really nice as far as the positioning goes. You can pick up on the elbow quite nicely, as well as some more beautiful scale detail, including that really nice dark wash, even leading down into the hand of our Deinosuchus, and you can see the nails are painted really nice and real carefully as well. Nice black coloration for the nails. Of course, there are some really nice cracks and stuff throughout the course of the egg as the egg is hatching. You can see the opposing front leg here as well is in almost the same position as the other side, as the Deinosuchus is really trying to free itself from this egg. And you can also see, again, actually some really nice skin wrinkles on this side right there, but more really beautiful scale detail, as well as, again, that dark wash bringing the detail out very nicely. You can see the nails are painted over here. If we take a look up here at the top, it honestly looks so nice because it doesn't look like it's, a model that stops right there at the top of the egg. Like, it genuinely looks like a living, breathing animal inside the egg. You can't really take note to the fact that it stops, so it looks like the animal itself continues as you move down further into the egg, which is definitely a really nice realistic aspect of the model. And then you, of course, have the tail coming out here on the side of the Deinosuchus as it's trying to escape, and we have some nice color variation, again, with kind of like a darker gray and then a lighter, light kind of a khaki-ish brown that kind of trades back and forth as you run out the length of the tail. Really nice detailing for the tail as well. We have a beautiful curve, and it also is coated quite nicely with that gloss coat, so it continues to have, again, that very realistic appearance. And you can see that the egg itself also has kind of like some of the yolk type look here around the egg, the brownish stuff that's coming out as the Deinosuchus is hatching, and you can see that the cracks and everything have been really nicely highlighted with a wash as well. The egg in general is a really white coloration. It also has a beautiful texturing to it. Like, it actually is really, really nicely textured throughout the course of the egg. And again, the Deinosuchus is so nice looking that the egg really complements the Deinosuchus, and the Deinosuchus complements the egg. You can also see the inside of the mouth sports some very nice detail, like here in the side of the skin flap here. Really nice realistic tone of color for the inside of the mouth. You can see the tongue and everything on the inside there is really nicely sculpted out. Beautiful detailing actually within the tongue. Even the upper side of the mouth is very nicely done. When it comes to the detailing standpoint, I do believe they were actually intending on using a lot of the money from the sales of these guys to fund the full-bodied versions of the adult Deinosuchus and potentially the Sarcosuchus. So if you wanted to get a hold of those figures, it's actually really important that these ones sell. So obviously, if you would be interested in an adult Deinosuchus, you're probably interested in a hatchling Deinosuchus. So why not take the gamble and buy it? Because again, it honestly is an incredible work of art right here. We also have, again, the alternate paint variant which sculpt-wise, these are exactly the same. There is no difference. They're just two different paint variants, and the paint application of this one is so cool. It's just so unique and so interesting that I really, really love it. We have a lot of variation of like reds within this one. As you can see, some lighter and darker shades of red here included in the face, and of course some blacks, and the blacks kind of like run back and forth and spot back and forth throughout the lower jaw and the upper jaw. And some areas have a little bit more of an abundance of the red, some areas have a little bit less, as you can see a lot of the red here on the side of the face of the Deinosuchus, but you can also see that the red is present up here on the snout, but it's not quite as visible. Like it's a little bit more dim up here on the snout, more so than just how vibrant and really bright it is. Not so bright, but just more vibrant over here on the side. And you see a lot more of that up on the top of the head. There's a whole area up here that sports that really nice reddish coloration. And here's another angle of the upper part of the head to really show you how nice it is. And the entire figure, just like with the other one, has been given that very nice dark wash, which you can see creeps in and out of each and every scale, and just really makes it look so lifelike, so realistic. I absolutely love how lifelike these truly look. The eye is painted in pretty much the exact same way, I think, as the previous one, as we have a nice greenish coloration with a black slit-like pupil, and you can see a little area of the white right there. And instead of that light kind of khaki color that we have on the other ones circling around the eye, this time we have a yellow, like a mustard yellowish brown, and it circles around the eye and also stripes down the back of the head here from the eye. Well, I guess the side of the head, but from the eye, just like the other one had kind of a bluish color, this one has more of a yellowish, brownish, mustard type of a color. But it looks super nice, and I love the fact that the black kind of leads up above in the eyebrow area and then kind of joins up back here behind that reddish area on the top of the head. And then you can see that there's just a nice combination of the black and red throughout the course of the figure here in the back, and even here on the side. You can even see it down here in the neck region. And just like with the other one, again, it has a really nice glossy look to it. Overall, it looks very realistic due to the gloss coat that's added. Looks just like an animal that would be hatching. You can see that the arm sculpt is primarily a black, but there are some hints of the red in the arm as well, leading down into the hand. Doesn't look like we really have any specific paint coloration for the nails on this one, due to the fact that the nails are just a black coloration, but the arm in general is mostly a black. You can see some more of that black that kind of spots and stuff down here into the neck and throat region. As we reach the underside, it transitions to a really nice light coloration, and there are also some slight hints of the red down here as well, which is pretty cool to see. You can even see some slight hints of gray spots in a few areas, like right here. You can see just a few slight gray spots, and again, a really nice dark wash has been applied, so all of that insanely nice scale detail just pops in a really nice way. We have the exact same kind of like cracks and stuff on the egg, just like we had on the previous Deinosuchus, but you can see how beautiful the head sculpt looks over here. There is no sloppiness to this at all in any area I can see, and it's really nice looking due to how precise the paintwork is. You can also see the tail, similar to the other one, just has like a black and red coloration that trades back and forth, whereas the other one had kind of like a gray and light brown, kind of a tannish color that traded back and forth. So same style of paintwork for this one as what we had on the previous one, but obviously very different tones of color. And I feel like it honestly is equally as impressive as the other one, and very realistic, somehow making this look very lifelike on a coloration that's fairly flashy for an animal like this. But it really does look like it could be the color of this Deinosuchus, so it makes it so impressive, and again, really cool looking overall. And then we have the bases, and the bases are basically just like a nice earthy area. There is some really nice paint variation to it, and as well as that, there's some beautiful texturing throughout. So it genuinely looks like an actual piece of the earth, which looks really cool. You can see how nice the actual paintwork is. Super appealing looking, so many different tones of color included, as well as some really nice dry brushing and everything to make all of the detail on them pop. But you can really get a good idea of the fact that they are pretty much exactly the same. I don't see any true difference on either one over the other one. And then we have this really nice black area here for the underside. And then on the bottom, we actually have, again, Rebor, Meta, the hatchling Deinosuchus. We have each of the different variants, and we have the limited edition numbers, which I have 82 and 93 of 500. So you do get a limited edition number with your Deinosuchus hatchlings. Really cool base to go with a phenomenal Deinosuchus hatchling model. I think the way to actually apply your Deinosuchus here in the egg is maybe like this. I think, pretty sure it's meant to kind of lean. That's the way it looks on the actual box for it on the prototype. Again, we have those little pieces of the egg. They're just basically a small piece of the egg. The inside does actually have, again, a little bit of a, dirty appearance like you would see on a real hatching piece of an egg. And then we'll go ahead and put this one on here. Actually, there's like a little bit longer of a side to this side as opposed to that. And I think that's the way it kind of leans. Kind of terrifies me a little bit because it looks like it's going to fall, but then it doesn't. So I'm pretty sure that's the way they are supposed to go on their bases, and they look so insanely cool. They look even cooler together. Buying both of them is definitely a great way to go when it comes to displaying the two together. As far as a size goes, for a length on the Deinosuchus, from the snout to the bottom of the egg, you are looking at about 8 inches or 20 centimeters roughly. For a height, from the ground with it up on the base, the highest point would definitely be the head, about 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line in comparison to our Rebor Deinosuchus Hatchlings, and you can definitely get a good idea of the fact that they're not super crazy big, but they are by no means a small size. They really do sport an impressive size overall, and hopefully in comparison to like the Papo Rex specifically, who is a pretty big figure and in a very bad spot to be stuck between two gigantic hatchlings like that, but you should be able to get a pretty good idea again of the fact that they are definitely very nicely sized. So these brand new 2021 Rebor Deinosuchus hatchling models are fantastic. Both of them, I honestly cannot stop staring at. They're so visually appealing, both of them, and they just look so realistic and lifelike. Like, it's really crazy to see how realistic and how alive they look. Rebor really has done a great job on the overall realism of both of these, as well as in general, the detailing aspects. Like, they are very highly detailed, sporting many different varying sizes of scales, looking very reminiscent to similar species that are still alive today, but of course having their own kind of prehistoric charm to them, which is great for us because having modern relatives of this species, we have a pretty good idea of what it would look like, so we could probably create, the most realistic depiction of the animal, and I feel like this is definitely the best version that I've ever seen of a Deinosuchus hatchling, and it really has me excited for the potential of Rebor releasing those adult versions of the Deinosuchus and Sarcosuchus. I love, again, the fact that it's so highly detailed with like skin folds and skin wrinkles and everything, showing off every ounce of movement on what we can see as far as the bodies go of both of the Deinosuchus. I love the pose too. I love the fact that it looks like they're trying to get out of the eggs. It's not like they just stopped for a photo shoot. They look like they are genuinely, trying their hardest to get out of those eggs. Both of their front legs are kind of like pressed against the egg, trying to push themselves out, and they're both letting out what appears to be potentially a vocalization of some kind as they try to make their way out of the egg. So it's a really cool pose, and it's something that I feel like is really lifelike as well. The paintwork is incredibly well done on both also. You have some beautiful, very precise paintwork, very different colorations for both in comparison to each other, but both have their own individual charm and really nice, realistic, and natural application of the paint. Both honestly look like that could be the coloration of the animal, and with the reddish version, it's kind of a far stretch as far as that color goes, but that as well looks like it could have been the color of the animal, which is so crazy but so cool. It's such a unique look for, an animal like this to have that kind of coloration, but Rebor really did a great job on choosing the colors of that one as well as the more naturalistic kind of like grayish, brownish sort of one. And again, the fact that the paintwork is so precise, there's no sloppiness anywhere on either of them, is really, really great to see as well. The bases are also really cool, but that's just kind of an afterthought when you have such incredible looking Deinosuchus hatchlings sitting on top of that base. So as a whole, I really love both of these releases. I think Rebor did a great job, knocked them both straight out of the park, and they are even better than I honestly expected them to be. So great job on the part of Rebor. Make sure if you are interested in these, yet again, you check the link link in the description and head over to Everything Dinosaur. Place an order for them right away, because being limited editions, they will not last long. And I've seen what the price point looks like for a lot of the older sold out hatchlings, and it's not good when you want to get a hold of them. So make sure you head to the link in the description, go buy both of these fantastic Deinosuchus hatchlings from Everything Dinosaur, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.